Hello, Anna. It's so good to see you.
Hi, Peggy. So happy to be here.
It's fantastic. Help me with your last name. How do I correctly say your last name?
Saldaña.
Saldaña. Where are you from originally, Anna?
I'm originally from Mexico.
All right. Nice. But your home is where?
I live in Mexico, but right now Wuufy is functioning in Mexico, and also we're launching in the US. So we're growing globally.
Fantastic. So it's a startup in the US and it's a functioning business in Mexico. So tell us about your business. What are you doing?
Well, Wuufy is your pet's 24/7 virtual advisor for health and behavior questions. It really gives you information to prevent the issues before they escalate into an emergency or an unpayable bill, which I know everybody as pet parents, they suffer with that.
Yeah, we do, don't we? I mean, I have a colleague of yours who has a great platform in Canada. He started a platform to compare, vet bills, etc. So it's interesting. Yeah, there's lots of pressure. There's lots of cost pressure. And our animals are very precious to us. So is that like a veterinary service?
We started out as a telemedicine service. And what we realized is we had this vet advisor, which was being trained by our vets. And it turned out that people really wanted quicker answers and did not want to schedule an appointment with a vet who was online. And so that's when we were like, we are onto something. And so we have right now 2 trained vet agents. And I know sometimes when you're talking about AI, it's always like, okay, so what does AI do? It's like this big black box. But basically, the way I see AI, there's two ways in which AI can help people. One is in processes where they can do stuff quicker. They might be able to research stuff or just help you get that information. And then there are the agents, which is something very specialized. I always say, when you think of ChatGPT, think of ChatGPT as the big encyclopedia. And then for what we do at Wuufy with our agents, it's just this specialized, just really trained advisor we have 2 advisors, one for medicine and one, for veterinary issues, health, and the other one for behavior, because we also found out that people struggle with behavior too. Having a pet is not siloed.
Yes, and they struggle in the sense that they try to understand and they don't understand. So just to get this right, so what we're talking about here is a fully AI integrated hotline kind of service. And you're training those AI agents, and I guess they keep learning, right?
Yes, and one of the things that also makes us different from maybe ChatGPT, even though it's the same technology, is that the more we learn about the pet, the better answers we're going to give you. I don't know if everybody, when I was growing up, I used to, any symptom I would look up in a medical book and just be able to, I was dying of cancer all the time, because it was just all these symptoms and things, it was just very complex. And so what we're trying to do is just simplify it, and with your pet's own data, be able to give you really spot on answers and tell you need to go to the vet, or you can fix this at home. This is something you should be watching if you're going to go away and maybe it's oh, my pet has a little bit of pet anxiety. Oh, these are things you can do before you leave to make sure they're calmer, they have less stress.
Fantastic. What got you into the business, and how did you get that idea?
Well, it's basically, as I call it, a founder problem fit, because I have an adorable border collie. She's crazy. And at some point I realized that even though I was trying to do the best I could, it still wasn't enough, because there was so much information. I was not able to really filter what was good information, what was relevant, and what was something that I needed to take care of. At some point, I took the advice of an expert who at that time was my trainer, and he was like, no, you have to wait. It's just not necessary to do something. And we ended up in an emergency room. My little puppy had to stay 2 days because I had delayed treatment. And it was just this should be easier for pet parents.
Yeah, it was messy. I totally relate to that. How do you make sure that what you're doing is pretty exact? How do you do that?
Oh, we have vets like looking at it all the time. One of the things before we launched, we were like, when we were doing telemedicine, what we would do is we would have users go first through the triage AI tool, then have the online consult, and then after the consult, have the vet review the content to make sure that it was like getting good answers. And basically, we're at the 95% certainty of answers, which is we have a team of 4 data scientists who are working at this full time. And really, what we do is preventive. What I realize is that we are not solving emergencies. We are not replacing vets. People should go to their vets whenever they have a question, but it's more about just being able to have access to this sounding board that will help you make better choices.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So I mean, how does that work? Does the person put into the system what the problem is, or do they upload a photo or a video, or how does that work?
Well, right now we have an app which you can download in the Apple or Google Store, and there you have to put in your pet's profile, and then you have Wuufy Guru Coach and Wuufy Guru Vet. And so if you have a behavioral question, you can ask him coach, and if you have a health question, you can ask vet. And basically, we'll just like keep on asking you questions and give you answers. We are working right now on the whole part of being able to input video and being able to input photos, because one of the things we want to do is really provide a thorough triage at home. So right now we're working on with vision models so that if you take a picture of your pet, we're able to tell you, oh, this is what's wrong with your pet. And we're also working on pet sentiment analysis, which basically is how to teach pet parents what their pets are trying to say. Because I always say I would love for my pet to talk, but that's one of the things that is not that easy. So we are using technology to be able to provide better information and for pet parents.
Amazing. So how long have you been in the industry?
I have been in the industry for 2 years, but Wuufy with data scientists and everything, we started in August of 2024.
Okay, wow. So how did you get into the industry, and do you like the industry?
Oh, I love the industry. I think the industry right now is just an industry that is very exciting because there's so many things, and there's so many things going on in the pet food segment, in the wearable segment, in the health segment. And it's just like right now it's a very fun and exciting place to be. And it's just like this idea that anything can happen right now in the pet segment. And it's really a segment that is today, more than 60% of the world has a pet. And that is an irreversible trend that is not going to change.
I don't think so either. What do you think the new pet parent, so the young pet parent, is looking for? From what you observe also, because you are very close to the consumer, right?
Yes.
So what are those people seeking? What is the prime question they're asking themselves?
When I started, I always thought that they were seeking like the best, ultramost care. And today, what we have come to realize is they are seeking the best, ultramost care, but with comfort and with easiness. And so for us, it's like realizing that we have to make anything we give pet parents just very easy, and make it also so that they don't have to spend a lot of time, because it's like, okay, I worry about my pet, but I'm still going to my party.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. Yeah, so that it's not about, so it's about being simplistic, but still exact.
Yes, and it's about being able to provide them with information to make decisions. Like if your pet has been throwing up for the last day, it's like, don't go to the party, go to the vet.
Yes.
One of the things that we realized with doing telemedicine was that a lot of times when the users came to us for help, they should have been at the vet like days ago. And so basically it's how you can rewire the pet parent into taking action faster, and also that will definitely impact the bills that they have to pay.
Absolutely. Yeah. The longer you wait, the cure is going to get more expensive, right?
Yes. I always say, imagine eating a sock, and if you just take care of eating the sock on the first day, it's not going to be wedged in your stomach and have to require an enormous operation.
Oh, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, that's interesting what you're saying. So you're in the midst of implementing AI into an industry which I think is still pretty much in their children's shoes, right? So it's like it's still, AI in this industry. We have wearables, we have some, diagnostics, but we do still have, I think, an industry which is very slow to adapt to some of the things. So how do you find your consumers? How do people know about you guys?
Well, we're basically just really going directly through consumers on social media. We have found that is like the best way to also engage with consumers, but also going to the B2B segment and really saying, before for companies, it was about, oh, I need these perks for my employees. And it was like, oh, I need insurance for families. And today families have changed. And a lot of people, especially the younger generations, are not having kids. So it's like, as companies, how do you also start giving perks related to pets within the company? So we're doing a lot of B2B also work.
Nice. Do you have any active collaborations with people in the pet industry?
We right now are working with a Mexican company that is doing food, and we've been like really trying to see how we can work together, but I'm open always to new collaborations.
Yes, I think it could be very complementary what you're doing, with a more conservative part of the business world in the pet industry and your AI know-how. I think and your AI application also, it's not only know-how you have. So it's not only a set of data, you're already applying it, and that could be very interesting. So that's exciting.
And you know what I also feel in this AI hype, everybody's like talking about AI, but really the way I see it is before you had to develop like years of research with patents, and now with AI you can just like go faster and be able to do things if you have the right data sets. And so right now we're really working hard on getting that information to be able to really respond to pet parents' questions. And so I hope that in probably like a month that we will be able to reveal something that I think will be something which will make pet parents' lives easier, because it's just like, okay, I take a picture and you give me information.
Yes, absolutely. I'm a growth expert, and I work with a lot of companies on growth, because for me, sales and revenue is the first step we all have to take. Yes. And one thing I do observe, I don't know if that's also what you're observing, is in the data jungle, right? So I have a lot of people I work with, and they're going, oh yeah, let me make an analysis. Now they analyze and they analyze and they analyze, but they forget the key. And the key for me is to ask, what question do we need answered to either grow, right? Make more revenue, or get a better profit, or be more effective, right? But they forget to ask the question because there's so much data. And I have the feeling through AI, it becomes even more data, right? And at the end of the day, you sit in front of a heap of data and you're trying to figure out, what was the question I asked, So I think it's so essential. What you're saying is to really make it simplistic, be very clear what you want as a result, and what value you're going to give to your consumer or customer with it. So you are definitely on a great track there.
No, and I agree, because it's like a lot of times when you have a startup, you have like this idea and it's like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm a pet parent, so this is going to be, and you take it out into the market and it's like, they don't really want that. And
No.
so it's about whether you insist on wanting to prove that the market wants what you are thinking they want, or you talk to consumers and you develop a product they want and kill whatever idea you have before that. I think you have to be very pragmatic, in the sense that you can't be in love with something. It's just like you have to kill it fast, because especially with startups who are bootstrapping, if you don't kill it fast, it's like you're one way, you're eating up on a bad idea.
No, absolutely. I think that's the thing, right? You don't fall in love with your product. You have to fall in love with your customer, because only if you manage that, you're able to sell at the end of the day. Well, this market, especially the pet market. I mean, I've been in this industry for 21 years. So a long, long time. And I've seen a lot of, I've seen services. I'm looking into, non-food, food. But the one thing is, we don't lack product. What we lack is really truly understanding what the consumer wants, and the consumer evolves. I mean, look at my age, right? So my age wants something completely different than the person today who's 32, right? Whereas probably my generation would run to a vet before it's even necessary. The guys today are sitting on their sofa going, okay, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. That's part of it, right? So, but they need an information like you're providing now, basically telling them, okay, now go already.
and you just hit on it also, because I think there's these points of contact where pets are in our lives. And before it was like, okay, I'm going to get a family pet because I want my kids to have the responsibility of taking care of a pet.
Yeah.
But now it's like totally different, because it's like, I'm not having a family. My family is my pet. There's a loneliness crisis. And so a lot of people, their only point of contact with society is through their pet. And a lot of times also, if they have behavioral problems, that even creates a bigger isolation problem for the humans. And then there's the third point of contact that I see right now where people are getting pets are the empty nesters, because a lot of times it's just like the kids are out of the home, what are we doing? And it's just like we can't travel the whole year, and it's like, oh, let's get a pet, and that becomes like a companion. And so if we start seeing how society is changing, because now people want to have their pets in restaurants, they want to travel with their pets, they want to really, pets are part of their lives. But also I see, like, if I ever go into a rest home, it's going to be, I want to go with my dog. And so what are you doing in that industry to accommodate people who pets are part of their lives? So I really feel that this trend of pets becoming the four-legged member of the family are really changing the way in which society has to accommodate for all these pet parents who are going to be spending money.
Yes.
Pets.
Pets, exactly. Yeah. It's funny because a long time ago, like 10, 15 years ago, there's always the discussion, do I move to the US or don't? Yeah, so anyway, so I had a contact in the US, and they said, oh, you have to come here and you have to work with us, but you have to be on site, da, da, da. And I said, I can come to the US because I cannot bring my dog to a restaurant. And that's like 10, 15 years ago. And he just looked at me like I fell from a tree, right? He goes, what? Restaurant and a dog? And this has so changed, right? Like 15 years later, now you suddenly see in the outside restaurants already in the US, in some states, in some cities, you have the people with the dogs sitting in a restaurant. So it's I find that what you're saying, the pet humanization is definitely evolving. It's still a cultural thing. If you go to Paris, 30 years ago already, the dog was on the lap of the lady and she was feeding it from the table, right? So, and it's also a cultural thing, but I think it does evolve, as you said. Pet humanization is huge. I'm curious about something because I have a very strong belief that decisions are our superpower. So what made you decide to do what you're doing? And what makes you decide to continue doing what you're doing?
But first, what made me decide was I realized I had a problem, and I'm a management consultant at some point. So it was like, okay, I need to research this market. And when I started looking at the numbers of the market, it was like, oh my God, this market is growing. This market is like, the numbers are amazing. And so it was like, I need to start understanding better the market and understanding where the opportunities are.
So that's left brain. You came into it very left brain. Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it was like, as I started researching, I did like this study on Facebook. I got 900 answers of the main like pain that you are facing as a pet parent. And I had to like go and just like really do like, not there was no Gemini at that point where I could say like, okay, Gemini, look at this data and tell me what is happening. So I had to do it by hand. But for me, understanding that for pet parents, the pain for vets and like health and the pain for behavior was like the 50% of the people we had interviewed had that pain. And so it was like, okay, we are into something interesting. And what makes me do what I do today is we're impacting lives.
Yeah.
It's just like, the other day, it was like, I was at a friend's house, and the neighborhood dog came, and the dog was salivating, and it was like, oh, it looks like she might have eaten some type of poison or something, and we were able to really take care of it fast. And it was like, wow, this is impacting lives. And it's, we when we were doing that telemedicine, we had a recurrent user who spoke with us more than 10 times because she had to, her cat was 18 years old with cancer, and she had a lot of problems letting go of the pet. And I always feel that it's so sad that their lives are so short. So it's always like, how can we make them longer? But it was this whole thing on how we could connect with a human also, and make the human be able to make a tough choice, but also feel comfortable with their choice.
Yes, exactly. And feel affirmed in their choice.
Yes.
Right?
And not lonely, because I think a lot of times it can be lonely when you want to make the best decision for the most important person in your life.
Of course. So Ana, you're a great example for somebody who follows their excitement, right? They say, it's interesting. I follow my excitement. I had to learn this because obviously, you know, I've been management consulting and entrepreneurial all my life, basically all my professional life, almost 2/3 of my professional life. And I find I still follow this excitement, and that's what I feel in you too. So if you can make a wish for the industry, right? Knowing the industry as a newcomer, what's your wish?
Definitely, as I was looking at what you're doing, collaboration. I would love to be able to collaborate with more people and say, okay, let's change this industry. Let's shake it up and really give pet owners these amazing products that have like all these different layers, because it's always like, okay, you sell pet food and you might have that AI power to figure out what is the right combination of weight and pet. And it's like, there's so much more that we can do if we are able to share the resources that we have with the wearables. I love wearables, and I buy all the wearables and I try them on my dog, and it's always like, I see there's so many possibilities in which they could be generating more value for the final pet parent. And so collaboration is definitely my number one thing that I'm sure we're going to be able to find.
Yes, great. Ana, thank you so much for your time. This is, as I told you at the beginning of this, I don't think that we had it on recording that time already, but this is the reason for what I'm doing, right? The reason for me is I want this industry to collaborate much more actively, because the cross-pollination is really super important, not necessarily only for the company owners, right, or the C-suite people I have in my interviews. It's really relevant for the evolution of this industry. And I know that the younger generation will evolve much faster than we have done, right? So the evolution goes quicker now. And it's about keeping the pet safe in that space, right? Because speed doesn't necessarily mean better.
No, definitely. And I think right now we are at the forefront that there's so much new information about pets, so many studies being carried out about the pets' brains, about what is the right way in which to reduce stress for pets and the impact of stress on behavior, resilience. There are so many things going on that I think this is an amazing moment if you love your pet to be able to connect on a different level and be able to have a much better life together if you use science and technology.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Anna, thank you so much. So you're Anna from Wuufy.com, right? It's WUUFY. So I'm really happy to have had you in this interview, and I'm sure you will be able to collaborate. I already have 3 people I interviewed. You have to watch the summit closely. I'll direct you where I think you can find some good collaboration opportunities. Thank you very much.
No, thank you for your time, and kudos to you, Peggy, for doing this, because I think the efforts like this, because I know it's not easy to be talking to all these people and setting up interviews, and so I know this is something that is really important for you because you have taken the time to do it. But I really admire the fact that you're saying, okay, let's change the industry together. So kudos to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I so appreciate it. And it will definitely not be my last summit because it's fantastic what you learn. And I love that because, you know, that's the inspiration we need. And anybody in the summit who I interviewed, I was lucky enough, most of them follow their excitement. And so do I with doing this. So thank you very much, Anna.
Thank you.
All the best, and we'll stay in touch.